St. Paul, the Fan.
Welcome back to 9 to noon. And for our next guest, Jamie Hersch, you can watch NHL Networks. You know Jamie, of course. NHL Now. It's weekdays at 3 o'clock Central on the fly following games throughout the season. Jamie's going to be reporting live from MetLife Stadium ahead of this weekend Stadium Series later today as well. So check that out. Jamie Hersch, our next guest.
Here she is, Jamie, PA in charge on a Friday. What's going on there, Jamie Hersch?
Hello, just heading to the big old football stadium for a hockey practice. It's going to be awesome.
MetLife Stadium for the NHL Stadium Series. And, you know, the you don't have to be a hardcore hockey fan and, follow it all the way back to Guy Lafleur versus, say, Bobby Clark. But Devils and Flyers, that's a heck of a rivalry, isn't it?
It is, and a lot of people may not know how close those two stadiums are, how close the two cities are between Newark and Philly. It takes less time for me to get to a Flyers game than it does to get to an Islanders game way out on Long Island with traffic. So it is really a heated rivalry, and it's awesome that we're seeing, back-to-back days with games. It'll be Devils Flyers tomorrow and then Rangers Islanders on Sunday. So there's a lot about this that makes it unique, and I'm really excited. It's kind of crazy. The football stadium environment is just crazy because we're talking 80,000 people, which is just massive. And so those are always really special because it's just the magnitude of it all that ends up leaving a real lasting impression.
Okay, so you're calling the game on the international feed, and I mean you've done pro women's hockey. We talked about that a few weeks ago. You've called NHL games, NHL showcases, stuff like that. But what's the international feed, and exactly what are you doing?
Yeah, so it's very similar to any other game that you call play-by-play. Once the game begins, it's all about the game. But the people who are able to watch it is everybody around the world except for Canada, which gets Sportsnet, and the U.S., which I think will have the game on ABC. So other than that, there's a ton of hockey fans, especially the Devils have a great international presence on their roster. There's a lot of people, whether it be from Finland, Sweden. We get a ton of viewers from Russia, and so it's great to highlight those international players. So in my prep, I'm really trying to make notes about the specific international players so I can make mention of, where they're from throughout the games. And that's really the only difference. We do a player interview at the end of each period, and we usually try to get someone that's not from North America. But other than that, the game dictates what we talk about, and it'll be play-by-play in a whole new way because I'll be from your vantage point in the press box of a football stadium, which is really far away from the ice, and I'm a little nervous about that, just sight lines and whatnot. But other than that, I'm really looking forward to a whole new experience.
You'll be great.
Hi, Jamie. It's Charge. Nice to talk to you again. It's been, a couple of years since we've been able to chat. Yeah, great to talk to you again. So what kind of weather are we looking at? 80,000 people. It's not necessarily a given that it's going to be, great ice. What are we looking at weather-wise?
Well, so Saturday is a night game, so I don't think the ice should have any issues at all. It'll be cold, if nothing else. And so my dad's actually in town from Minnesota. He's going to go to the game along with my husband tomorrow, and they'll be out in the nosebleeds of MetLife Stadium freezing their tushies off. But it'll be cold, nothing terrible. I worked the Winter Classic at Target Field, and nothing will be cold after that experience.
That was amazing.
What?
That was amazing. How I remember it being 0, -5, something like that.
I think it was actually -15, but then there was wind chill that brought it down to -25 or something insane. It was the coldest I've ever been, for sure. And I remember my producer's eyelashes froze together. So we're taking a hot towel to get the eyelashes to, release themselves and open up. It was ridiculous. It was insane. So that being said, I don't think that this is going to be anywhere near that, but with the wind, it's probably going to get down to the teens, and it'll be chilly, but the players don't have to worry about that. They have the best seats in the house because the benches are heated, and a lot of people don't know that, so they're worried about the players. Yeah, right. They're still going to be sweating. They're still going to be plenty cozy with those heated benches for sure.
Hey, Jamie, at Jamie Hersch via X or Twitter, NHL Network, Champlin native Jamie Hersch. Now, Stadium Series versus or Winter Classic. Like what's different about the two, if anything?
I think Winter Classic just has still that lore, if you will, the historic nature that the first outdoor game in the NHL was a Winter Classic. And then the Stadium Series was kind of just like to get more teams involved. And I remember when the Wild got the Stadium Series back at TCF Bank many years ago, it was exciting, but I remember Minnesota fans complaining still like, yeah, but it's not the Winter Classic. So I think there is still like an extra layer of romance or whatever you want to say about the Winter Classic per se. And, it's New Year's Day. It's this whole, new start of a new year and all the excitement that is wrapped up into that. It's usually the only game on the schedule, the Winter Classic is, whereas the Stadium Series is usually on a weekend. So there will be other games tomorrow and Sunday, and the focus won't solely be on the outdoor games. But that being said, I think it's great to just get more teams involved in outdoor games because there's a lot of guys that still have not played an outdoor NHL game, and to get them that experience is wonderful.
The NHL Stadium Series game Saturday at MetLife Stadium, where the Jets and Giants play. Jamie Hersch on lead vocals for the Devils and the Flyers. That's 7:00, and make sure you watch that wherever it's available. Now, when it comes to your NHL Network work, I'm going to take the leap here, Jamie, that really life never has been better, and here's why. Because when you host on the fly, okay. Old schoolers remember On the Fly, and there's Jamie Hersch, and she's always standing up and super energetic and super accurate and super pointed with the commentary. How nice are those cushy leather chairs? Are you kidding me? You talk about the lap of luxury there with those chairs on NHL Now?
I mean, it's not just that, but let's be real. The wardrobe change has been fantastic, too. On the Fly is still very formal. I'm always in a dress and heels, and that's fine and fun to get all fancy every now and then. But NHL Now is really meant to just be daytime television at its core, where we're relaxed, we're comfortable, we're a players-focused show. So, we basically only ever have former players or current players on the show as guests. And so it's supposed to be very casual. Let's just sit down and, have a cup of coffee and talk hockey for 2 hours a day. And it's been so much fun. I really enjoy the relaxed atmosphere. I don't think we go into it with anything truly scripted. We have bullet points of things to talk about, but it's also been cool because, now in my 9th season, believe it or not, at NHL Network, I feel like I finally have a platform to kind of have a voice and have my opinions be heard and really kind of contribute in that way rather than just always teeing up analysts for their opinions, which is also great. Let's be real. People want to hear from the former players more than they want to hear my opinions about hockey. But selfishly, it's been really fun and really nice to kind of just have that open dialogue, a real comfortable atmosphere, and the leather chairs and the sneakers and the jeans that I get to wear, all of that. It's top notch. It's
fantastic. Now, your NHL Network teammate, Jackie Redmond, I noticed, has shifted some of her duties to WWE and the world of wrestling. So if an agent or an opportunity presented that to, hey, Blondie, Miss Jamie Hersch, would you have been able to do that if asked, like brushing up on your Mean Gene Okerlund or Bobby Heenan references? Could you have done that?
Would I be able to? I'm sure. I like to say I can do anything, but would I want to? No. And I'm sorry, wrestling fans. I know it's a huge population out there that loves it. I have never watched a wrestling event in my life.
The best.
And so I would be woefully underprepared or unprepared to do something like that. And it's just not something that I'm passionate about. And Jackie is. She grew up watching all of those events with her dad. And so that's something that is kind of in her background anyway. And that's why it's such a great opportunity for her. And I love seeing her shine. But no, for me, it's more, I was raised on Vikings football, Twins baseball, a little bit of Timberwolves basketball, and the Minnesota Wild. And so those are my passions for sure. I'm much more the traditional sports landscape.
All right, let's bring it home, Chargy.
So Connor Bedard is going to return last night and immediately got an assist. And I don't think people thought he'd come back this fast.
So we've been following Rookie of the Year because we want Brock Faber to, be a factor here. But Bedard's so good. Well, how do you think this thing ends up?
I think Faber will definitely be a finalist. And there are a lot of people at NHL Network that are pounding the drum for him to win the Calder, regardless of what the point totals end up being. Because Bedard is fantastic. Of course he's going to put up the points. He took the lead again last night. I think he ended up with 1 point to take the lead over Faber. But Faber's a defenseman. He's not there strictly to produce points. And the importance and the value that he brings to his team is just as much as what Connor Bedard brings. And if the Wild go on and make the playoffs, I think it's going to be largely because of what Brock Faber is doing, especially with Spurgeon out and all the other injuries they've had scattered throughout. I mean, that right there makes the case for him to win the Calder. It's just kind of the importance and that MVP style that you have for your team. So I would certainly make a case for him. I hope that he gets the points too, just to make it even, easier. But I don't know. It's going to be tough. Connor Bedard certainly is an excellent talent and generational player, but I don't think it's a lock that he wins this thing. So we'll see.
A few nights ago, this crazy dust-up between Toronto and Ottawa at the end of the game. You never see a guy take a point-blank slap shot into an open net. And so then that was Ottawa play. Was it Ridley Grigg, I think? And then Toronto's Morgan Riley just hunts him down and cross-checks him into the face. And I think a 5-game suspension, something. What are your thoughts on that?
Correct. So I loved the slap shot. I thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
And it's a rivalry. It's a Battle of Ontario, and why not? Why not have a little fun with it? I compare it to like a bat flip in baseball, right? Like some people don't like to see it. They think it's flaunting or whatever, taunting everything. And so I think there's definitely a place for that in our game. In our game that we're trying to talk about, growing the fan base and making it more engaging and entertaining. I mean, entertainment sells. So why not be a little entertaining? I loved it. I didn't love the cross-check, but I also understood the response by Morgan Riley. Like, there's a respect factor in the NHL and probably in all sports, but specifically in hockey. Like, I think you guys probably know this, but if you go into a dressing room, there's a logo on the floor of the middle of the room. And if you step on that logo as a player, as a trainer, as a media member, there will be about a dozen guys that bark at you, hey, get off the logo, get out of the room. And it comes back to pride and identity, and it's really a true thing. It's a real phenomenon. And so if that's something like a logo on the carpet of a dressing room, like you want to talk pride, and then you see, a team that's last place in the Eastern Conference blast a slap shot into an empty net. Like, I get the response, is all I'm saying. I do think you should have been suspended. I thought maybe a game, maybe 2 would have probably been better, but I think the league really wanted to make sure that they're protecting players, especially when it was just totally out of nowhere and the play was over, whistle had blown, everything's done. So I think that's why he got the 5 games. But the whole thing created conversation, and that's what we want at the end of the day. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, and we're talking about it right now. And I agree with all of your takes on this. And I love that the Toronto players and coaches are like, we did the right thing. No regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it's good. And like you said, it was a week ago. It was last Saturday night. I remember I was working on the fly, and we were like, what? And it suddenly became the lead of our show because it was so explosive, I guess you could say, or unexpected. So it's good, ultimately. Cross-checks in the face, not so much. But the whole thing, the whole phenomenon. And look, next time they play each other, you better believe people are going to be watching.
Hey, you're fantastic as usual. Best of luck tomorrow. You're going to fire a bullet. Everybody knows you are. And we'll catch up soon, okay?
Thank you, guys. Good to talk to you.
Yep. Bye, Jamie. That's Champlin Park's Jamie Hersch, NHL Network and NHL Now and NHL on the Fly and the international feed for the Stadium series. It's the Old Devils and the Flyers, 7:00 tomorrow night. The Birk bit is around the corner when 9 to noon continues. But first,
the Fan, along with the Big Ten basketball tournament, they want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword bonus, and you might win $1,000. The keyword is bonus.
On the Fan.
sugar pie, honey bunch. You know that I love you. See? Anything works. Just like Matt Birk, 9 to noon, Eddie 11:21. It's the Birk Bit. What's going on, Berkey? Welcome to the Friday Football Feast.
What's happening? I'm just watching the TV here, the Pat McAfee show. I always sit where Charch is sitting. So I'm
Can't
sitting
see
in another
anything
seat.
here. Yeah.
Just on the bottom, it says Jimmy Garoppolo has been suspended 2 games for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy.
Wow.
As a backup.
Performance-enhancing drugs. I would say whatever he paid for those drugs, he needs to get a refund.
Well, who's to say they're not cheekbone enhancements?
It said performance-enhancing. I don't know.
Have you seen his cheekbones?
No,
the
I
high
haven't.
cheekbones with the olive-shaped eyes and the skin tone. Come on, man. Charch wanted to talk about it for a full segment. I'm like, no, we'll save it for Berkey for
Big cheekbone guy.
Yeah.
So
why would you take the PEDs when you're third string and you're inactivated every week? I got to rush back
Well, I'm just saying,
I can be inactive.
He didn't take enough of them or they didn't work. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's one of those, the clipping penalties where there's like ambiguity on what he took, or you know what I'm saying? It's
I just know it was easy when I played. It was a little bit different, but when I went in there to take the drug test, you'd get the notice in your locker and you'd go into the room and there'd be a guy there with the pee cups.
Yeah.
And
but you don't pee right in front of him, do you?
Oh,
You
yes,
have
you
to.
do. You have to.
Because of Ontario. That's why.
Smith needed the Whizzinator.
Right. So
the tester holds it.
So I would go in there and
he holds the
when
cup.
you say holds it, you should be more specific.
Yeah.
So testing for steroids.
Cuss
and
again, please.
I would go in there and I would just say, I'd just kind of wave him off and I'd take my shirt off and he'd say, yeah, you're good. You're not on steroids.
Nordo accidentally dropped a word that rhymes with, let's say, bitty, and it's a commitment to excrement, and he dumped it. But what it did to the popularity of the 9 to noon stream, I'm now going to give him $1,000 after the show to do it 4 times a day for starters, because the stream just what happened? It just caught fire nationwide. They're cussing on KFAN. So can you do it again?
Joe Flacco did Joe Flacco did it last week. Nordo's doing it this week.
Nobody cared about Joe Flacco doing it. Everybody cared about Nordo doing it.
Why is that?
I don't know, but my tweet machine's blowing up with I heard it. Cool, let's do it again. It's a tough world out there, man. It's a tough world out there.
Ooh, you said a bad word. It's like my 7-year-old. You said a bad word, Daddy.
Okay, now, Daddy, hold on. Rumor has it. Now, you're an elite football mind.
This is true.
And you're a Super Bowl champion.
That's true.
And last week, you really, just finished Super Bowl stories with Joe Flacco, 9 to noon.
It might be the best segment of the year that you have. And you got a lot of great segments. But Joe Flacco, once a year.
That was the best week of Super Bowl stories.
Yeah, you had a good week. I caught some on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, on the replay bit?
I caught Fran. I caught...
Kevin O'Connell started it.
Who else did I catch? It was phenomenal.
Kubiak?
No, Kukar.
Oh, Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie Kukar. Yeah. I did accuse Bernie of burning down Lutzen at one point.
I tuned in. I just turned it on, and who's this guy talking? This guy's crazy. Who is it? And then I heard you, and I was like, oh, it's Bernie Kukar.
You just forget sometimes, like with Gary Kubiak. All right? So Gary Kubiak, first of all, only went to 7 Super Bowls.
That's it.
Only won 4, player or coach. If you really just take time to study some of the, even if you're just a Vikings fan and you're like, okay, I look back at the last 5 or 6 years at the coaches roster, and you're like, okay, who's Dom Capers? All right, well, you look back through Dom Capers. Now, Sleepy Dom is nearing the end. And I call him Sleepy Dom because I swear, at Ford Field one time, he was like the assistant head coach bit that doesn't really have a title. And there wasn't enough room in the visiting coach's booth. So they had him in a booth right next to it by him. I swear he was asleep. Now we were losing, but I swear.
If he didn't have any responsibilities, why not?
Right. Dom, but if you look back through the history of Dom Capers and, first coach of the Carolina Panthers, there are just cool things to learn with even the likes of Gary Kubiak, okay? And when you go back to see that Kubiak was the quarterback's coach for the San Francisco 49ers under offensive coordinator Mike Shanahan, under head coach George Seifert, working with Steve Young, it's just the immortality of these names as we go through the decades. Brad Johnson was one.
Wasn't Kubiak always backup?
Yes.
Am I wrong on that?
No.
Oh, wait, was he a player? No, he was a player.
Broncos.
Yes.
Yeah, in the
That's
Broncos
right, yeah.
era. He got some starts.
Yeah, but I think that was his start in coaching.
Right, but I think I don't know if he
was a backup forever.
I don't know if he was Elway's backup when they won. Remember, Elway went to a bunch of Super Bowls and lost.
Right.
When they won in '97 and '98, was Kubiak the backup?
Offensive coordinator.
I think. Kubiak started 5 games, so pretty much career back.
When did his career end? You know,
that would be 1991.
There we go.
All right, so he wasn't there for the Super Bowls.
And here's the deal. Here's the deal. All right, we're gonna pump the brakes for a second. When it comes to heritage gear and assisting the military and those cool ass bags, or when it comes to, I don't know, being an elite dad, then you can go ahead and handle that. When it comes to the history of somebody playing or coaching, and when I did I'll take care of that one. Okay, I'm playing with you. Okay. But so that's where he started as quarterback's coach,
right?
And then like Brad Johnson's on with the Super Bowl story.
I missed Bull.
And with Bull or Brad, he's talking about the 0-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right. So, I mean, to prepare and write and like look at and research these Super Bowl stories, to do it the right way, it takes a little more time than putting together certain segments. But you can't look at everything. So I'm like looking at the 0-2 Bucks. Hey, I remember when, you were there too in 2002. Brad Johnson threw for 5 touchdowns. I mean, that cannon was firing like it was Pirates of the Caribbean or something.
Like PTSD. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He ran up 5 TDs in 2002. But on the coaching staff, just starting out, quality control for the offense, Kyle Shanahan.
Really?
How about that? 2002, where Next Level Shanny started with the Bucks for Gruden as quality control guy, which is cool.
Everybody's got to start somewhere. And in coaching, nobody just comes out of the womb and they say, "Hey, you're the offensive coordinator." I mean, Kevin Stefanski was, and I'm not trying to be derogatory.
Yeah.
He was basically like Brad Childress's football secretary.
Yes.
There's some nicer title than that.
Yes.
But Kevin would just make sure
he wasn't even quality control.
No, he basically made sure all the scripts were printed up.
06.
Yes. And now Kevin Stefanski is a top NFL coach. You got to start somewhere.
Billick started in PR.
Yes, well,
he was,
and some might say he's always been in PR.
Wow,
that man got you a Super Bowl.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No,
that was the other. That was
Harbaugh.
I like Billick, but Billick, he's different.
Well,
Big Bird.
I don't know if Hagan was running public relations like when Billick was in it or not, but I know
he started with public relations with the 49ers, and then he snuck into like Bill Walsh's meeting room. No, you got to look. You got to do some investigative reporting.
Okay,
on this.
I love that. Now, Todd Downing. Okay,
TD.
Yeah, how about this? Todd Downing, Eden Prairie. Eden Prairie high school football stud. Well, he's on a media relations staff for the Minnesota Vikings, and like 99, 2001, something like that.
I remember.
With like Kelly Klein, who now like runs college scouting for the Denver Broncos, and of Hagan and West and so on and so on. Well, I think he picked up Mike Tice. He did something where he won the favor of Mike Tice, and Tice was like, "Well, do you want to look into this job?" So he became quality control in 2002 for your same year I started. He started, and now he's been offensive coordinator for the Raiders, quarterback's coach for Stafford. He's quarterback's coach for the Jets right now.
Coordinator for Tennessee.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was thinking.
No, I mean that's how you start out. Basically, coaching says, "Oh, you want to get into coaching? Okay, well, here's the deal. We're going to give you a job at the bottom, and we're going to see if you can work 20 hours a day, and we're going to try to get you to quit, And the guys that don't quit and who got a little something to them, they learn and they say, all right, you've last 3 years we've thrown everything we can at you. You made it through. Now we'll give you you can be assistant tight ends coach, right? And then you do that, and that's just how it goes. You got to earn your way up. That you'd never see it in football. I shouldn't say never, but sometimes in basketball, like all of a sudden they take a former player and they name him like head coach or GM,
right,
and he might have been like a year or two doing something in an organization. I was like, oh, he's ready to be. You don't ever see that in football. Correct. It's so different in scouting, all that stuff. I just saw, who's GM of the Carolina Panthers now?
Oh,
Dan Morgan.
Oh, the linebacker?
From Miami.
He was
Remember
a badass.
Him? Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I played against him, and I knew he was in scouting. I saw him 10 years ago at a combine. He was scouting, great guy.
Jeez.
Now he's the GM of it, but he was an all-pro player.
Yes.
He was in scouting for like 15 years before he became a general manager in the NFL.
Right.
Everybody earns it, man.
Well, see, and a lot of former players, and okay, so you make a certain level of income, okay? So over a long career, I don't know how to explain this. It's when it comes to coaches and players. Now, players, who play 10 years or so, well, they know the hours the coaches put in specifically. Yeah. So therefore, not as many players jump to become coaches.
No.
Certainly Keenan McCardell has.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a phenomenal wide receivers coach sitting in an offensive coordinating job somewhere, somehow, but he completely has embraced and accepted the role of doing this and the hours and everything. Then you get somebody like Terrence Newman. All right. Now, Terrence is incredibly professional. He needed to Zimmer needed a solid. For there was an open, something happened, but it had to be filled quickly. Yeah. Well, Terrence Newman came in, and I mean, really, with all due respect, because I like Terrence, I don't think I've seen a human being sit in an office more miserably than him.
No, the hours are insane.
It was unbelievable sometimes.
I always ask former players. I saw Chris Cooper. I met him over at the Vikings, played for 8 years. And I always ask.
Did a great job.
And I would say, so what? It's like, so how'd you get into coaching? And it's always like a lot of these guys, I never thought I'd get into it. Because as a player, you see the hours they're working, and you're playing, and you're working hard. It's a different kind of hard. You're not working as long as those guys, but you're working just as hard. And you're like, how could these guys stay here till midnight and draw up, dot right 40 gut? And you can't fathom it. Yeah. But there is something in your blood with the game. But the guys always say, I never thought I'd get into coaching, and then something happens.
But they stick with it. I mean, you don't see some obviously do leave, but a lot of these guys stick with it, and they must just embrace the hours and the work. And, nobody's like, I don't.
I'll say this. I coached middle school football. Okay,
a direct parable. Yes,
a little bit different. We were 5-2 this year, 6-2.
Yeah. 8-game season. Would you have a lunchroom strike? Did you have to bring scabs in from a public school?
As a player, look, the best job in the NFL is playing, bar none. Okay, but you're done. You're never going to be able to match that feeling on Sundays. That in the tunnel, running out, walking off the field after a win, even walking off the field after us. You're never going to be able to match that in any profession ever again as a player. But what can come close, right? It's like there is a part of you become a little bit of an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
How can I get close to that high again? Mm-hmm. Well, coaching, it's kind of there. I mean, you grind. The grind's different. The grind's longer, but you still get to go. You still get to stand on the sidelines Sunday afternoon and be part of that game. And it's different. It's not as complete, I don't think, but it's still kind of the same thing. And I think that's why guys kind of get hooked on it. It's a drug. It's a drug, guys. It's a drug. It's black tar heroin, man, with like pistachio ice cream. It's a drug. And once you have it,
what is that?
Once you have it, that's like two really good things combined, right? Apparently,
a really good thing.
You want it.
Yeah.
You want more of it.
Well, you mentioned Kevin Stefanski, and so in 2006 when he started, all right, I was doing the
football secretary,
the weekly, same thing I do with Kevin O'Connell now, X's and O's with KOC, but we do it at the Vikings facility.
X's and O's, Jimmy's and Joe's.
X's and O's, Jimmy's and Joe's, and that's the new name for the shows. But same thing, but with Brad Childress, I would go to Winter Park and, say the show would air at 6 and we're set to tape it. Say it airs at 6:30, we're set to tape it. I mean, absolute late as 5 o'clock. Well, I'm getting there at about 3:45 or whatever, and I'm sitting in. So you remember where Kevin's office was? Yeah. That little tiny office right next to the head coach's office,
broom closet,
adjacent to Mary, the secretary.
Mary's the best.
Well, there was an office next to it that had like all the playbooks and everything from like the last 30 years.
The annals of playbooks.
And the room, had some pack rat feel to it. So it's like Hagen put it together with his Oingo Boingo CDs and Sid Hartman columns.
Winter Park was so nice.
But I agree.
Was it?
Oh, super intimate. Yeah.
Very intimate.
Oh,
yes.
I loved it. Absolutely.
I loved it. But
I loved it too for reasons we can chat about
later. It's like the house you grew up in. You go back, you're like, I can't believe I grew up here.
But me waiting in that office for Childress, most weeks, it never went off at the right time. Okay, 4:00. Now, all of a sudden, I'm sweating like we got to get the show in and sent and everything. Well, that's how I got to know Stefanski, by waiting for Childress, sitting in the office next to Kevin, and it was 06. So it's my 5th year calling Vikings football. And we start chatting a little bit. And one thing about Kevin is he can multitask as well as any human being I've ever met in my life, because he's working. So, like, when we start chatting, I'm like, bro, I don't want to clomp here, okay? I mean, it's a Wednesday, and I know Wednesdays are important for compiling stuff. And he's like, no, we're fine. And he is typing and then writing and answering and all that. So he multitasks in second to none fashion. I think he was about 24, 25 years of age.
Fresh.
He got here like 25, 26, something like that. Well, in our second conversation, he alerted me that his father, Ed, is general manager of the New Jersey Nets.
Philadelphia 76ers.
No, it was Nets at that time. Then it went on to Sixers, and then Raptors, and then Grizzlies. Well, I'm an NBA guy.
Apparently, you just keep getting fired from GM jobs in the NBA. They just recycle them all
growing up around so our common thread was NBA and talking about players and stuff like that. And that's what brought me together with Kevin. And then to watch his rise from Burke's right. I mean, it's football secretary. It wasn't quality control. And his rise, he did so many things. He was wide receivers coach, tight ends coach. He coached so many different things. And man, you just triggered some good memories about Kevin. 2-time coach of the year, by the way.
Did he win it the other night?
Yeah, he did.
I just did. It was like 2 times in like 4 years. Right?
Well, in 2020, when he won it, he came on 9 to noon the next day, and we congratulated him. It was a fun conversation. Didn't happen. I think he's just, I'm not going to call him crusty, but it's like, yeah, that's great. Okay, cool. I mean, I just went through 5 quarterbacks and Chicknub got hurt. We got high expectations here, and the owner owns all these planes, and he's weird.
And we play in the AFC North. Yeah, we got the Ravens and the Bengals.
Right. But it's look at your Browns, man. They just had the coach of the year in Stefanski, defensive player of the year in Myles Garrett, comeback player of the year in comeback player. I got bounced in the first round of the playoffs by 30. I mean, so that's why I don't think he wants to talk about it, because of the playoff.
That's phenomenal, though. I love Stefanski.
If there's, we were discussing bridge quarterbacks, or like how Sam Darnold came up early in the show. I mean, it's what is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
I think that's it. Yeah.
What I'm getting at.
What are we talking about?
If there's a bridge quarterback needed here, well, you know what? You rolled in here saying you have a foolproof quarterback plan for the Minnesota Vikings. Go ahead and share it.
I've solved it. How much? How long do we have?
As long as you want.
Great. We're going commercial free till the end of the show.
Yeah. Sponsored by Heritage Gear.
Well, you saw Kirk Cousins was on this very Pat McAfee show last week. With our Heritage Gear bags. Wow. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, Kirk was, so many guys helped us out. Wow. Kirk was phenomenal. Yeah. Went on Pat McAfee.
I tweeted for you.
He is a professional pitch man.
Yeah, how come you think I didn't help?
You did, but you're not playing quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, that's cool.
Kirk was on Pat McAfee.
Wait till you come up with super triangles and you need me badly.
Super parallelograms.
Yeah, wait till I shut you down, boy.
Anyways, so Kirk was on Pat McAfee, talking about heritagegear.com. And he is the talker of this offseason, not just for Vikings fans, but pretty much for the NFL. Right, Charch? I mean,
it's going to heat up more as we get closer to free agency. I don't think nationally quite yet. We're talking about Kirk every day here.
Right.
Nationally, it'll come around. It's gonna be huge.
As we enter into the free agents. He is the number one free agent out there, right? Franchise quarterback. Yeah. So, and I know you guys got a lot of airtime to fill between now and whenever. Yep. So you got to go down all the rabbit holes and overthink and overtalk and conspiracy theory this, and I tweeted that. But here's the deal, guys. Mm-hmm. Should the Vikings re-sign Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
The answer is no.
Hey!
Why should they re-sign Kirk Cousins?
Why?
Okay, let's say this. You get Justin Jefferson's deal done. Mm-hmm. You get a deal done for Kirk Cousins. Let's say you absolutely nail it in the draft this year, which, by the way, you better, because if I could use a baseball metaphor, permission to use a baseball metaphor?
Yes, sir.
For Kwesi and company.
Down memory lane we go.
The count is 0-2. Mm-hmm. and you've swung at 2 fastballs right down the middle, and you've missed by a foot.
Well, you're obviously not Joe Mauer if you swung at the first pitch, but anyway.
It's a baseball metaphor.
He's an HOF. I can take that fun-loving
if
shot.
you sign Kirk Cousins and you get Justin Jefferson done, which the order has to be reversed, right? You have to get Justin done first, Kirk second, and you have a really, really good draft. Best case scenario, what's your record next year?
Team could win in a best case scenario. Team could 13, 14, 15
You're
wins.
not going to win 13
and 2.
Yeah, okay. You guys, see, here's the problem. Here's the problem. You guys are not objective. You guys love the Vikings. I love the Vikings, but I'm objective.
Yeah, you really loved them a lot in 2008 when you took an extra $1 to go to Baltimore. But anyway.
Remember what I said about black tar heroin and pistachio ice cream? That's what holding the Lombardi Trophy feels like. Okay? So the Vikings should not. The Vikings have claimed.
Now I know when you roll in and your eyes are glazed and you're looking a little paunchy. Now I know what has happened.
You sign Kirk Cousins. You're going to waste Kirk Cousins here. The best case scenario is you're looking at 9, 10, 11 wins. Wow. Okay?
You're always trying to kill dreams.
I'm not trying to kill dreams. I'm trying to be. What is the goal? What's the goal?
Super Bowl.
The goal is Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to get to the Super Bowl in the next couple years.
You don't know that.
Why not?
No,
Why not?
I do. Well,
Rob,
listen,
we won 13 with the guy 2 years ago.
None of us know anything, okay? But I'm talking about, right, like projecting out. Mm-hmm. Okay? So he should not re-sign here. The Vikings should not re-sign him. There's too many holes.
Jeez.
They talk about this competitive rebuild, which is a total, that's like saying, well, we didn't fire people, we downsized.
Jeez.
It's baloney. Whoever came up with that
Did you just go for like the assistant to Brzezinski's job or something and got shut down, and now you're going to take it out on the radio?
I'm just telling you how it is. I'm here to call balls and strikes.
That's a fair point.
Okay, so I don't think the Vikings should re-sign Kirk Cousins because I think it's a waste. I think you have two. As great as Kirk is, and he's great. I mean, talk about even a couple years ago, everyone kind of thought, well, he's pretty good, right? I think we all think he is great. He is fantastic. Mm-hmm. But you're going to waste him here because you don't have the roster to support. Yeah, you'll win more games with Kirk, no doubt about it. But you're not going to get to the promised land. You're not.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other side of it.
Well, I mean, you win a Super Bowl, now all of a sudden the book of Matthew from the Gridiron Gospel is like a prophecy. You can see the future. How do you know that's all going to happen?
Well, how do you know it's going to happen?
I didn't say it would, but you're saying it won't.
They pay you the big bucks to prognosticate and predict. You don't pay me anything, and that's why I'm going to prognosticate and predict. I give free advice. That's what I do.
And I get 2 bags out of it, too, so it ain't a bad lot in life.
So here's the second thing.
Yeah.
Should Kirk Cousins re-sign here?
Yeah.
Why in the name of God's green earth would Kirk Cousins re-sign here?
How about Justin Jefferson?
Okay.
Kevin O'Connell?
Oh, great. So I'll put up big numbers. Like you watched the quarterback series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember how many times Kirk got hit?
Well,
how many times Kirk get hit?
Yeah, but we finally have a requisite offensive line.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, that's cool.
Finally.
Seems like the meeting with Chris Cooper went really well.
No
What did
kidding.
he tell you to F off?
I'm just saying.
Well, seriously, try to get a job, and he said, "Get your ass out of here."
Why would Kirk Cousins sign here? If he
because he knows the offense, and that's important to him, and he has Jefferson, Addison,
what do you
Hawkinson,
think Kirk Cousins
Darrisaw, and O'Neal.
How many years Kirk Cousins played?
12-ish.
Okay. When I was after year 11, you become very aware of your football mortality.
There's a big difference. Okay, you snapped it. He throws it. It's a big difference.
Kirk Cousins just ruptured his Achilles and missed most of the year. Yeah. You understand that things happen. You can't take it for granted anymore. I think he's got a lot of good years left, but you start to say, you're always everyone's just one play away. We always hear that one play away.
There's the other part of this that you're not factoring in clearly.
Thank you. Yeah, take that, Kirk hater.
Counselor, Judge, can I finish my argument?
No, you've talked enough.
That argument now because we missed the straddle.
Any team that's Super Bowl ready's got their quarterback. He's not going to go. Yeah, he's not going to some team that's, unless the 49ers want to go get him. He's not going to go anywhere that gives him a better chance than the Vikings do.
You don't think so?
The Broncos don't have a better. If he goes to Denver, did the Broncos have a better chance of going to the Super Bowl than Minnesota?
That Cousins Kyle Pitts connection in Atlanta's really going to leave them all wide-eyed.
Or Falcon. I mean,
hey, maybe Deontay Johnson is the next Lynn Swan. Who knows? The only way to learn is to figure out by getting Kirk there. All right, I got to pause. No, we do. I missed the straddle. Abbott already can't feel one foot. Now he probably can't feel his heart. Love you very much. Come by next week, and I promise I won't forget to text. Okay?
You're the best. See ya.
You too. That's Matt Birk, PA. And
The Fan.
That's a great setup, Bob.
Now, what did I do wrong?
You like that?
Just listen.
I know, right?
Well, it used to be so very hard to go, but it's always very hard to go when it's a Friday, but it's the weekend, so it's actually not that very hard to go. No Timberwolves action this evening. They're on the All-Star break. They're back next week. Dusted Portland a couple of times, best record in the West. And you have the NBA All-Star game this week. Can you watch any of the All-Star festivities?
No, that doesn't interest me a ton. I probably won't.
3-point shooting contest and slam dunk contest.
Is Karl Anthony Towns going to do the 3-point contest?
I don't know.
Okay.
But, I used to really, really be into
in
both
the old
those.
days. Remember, are you? Well, you're
Larry
old enough
Bird?
to remember Jordan.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm old enough to remember Larry Nance, who might have won the first one. And I'm like, I think he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Phoenix Suns. And he's 42-inch vert.
Yeah.
Then you get D. Brown with the pumping of the shoes.
I remember that well.
Muggsy Bogues, I think, won it one year. Blake Griffin's jumping. See, where it really started to get commercialized was when Kia was a big sponsor. Blake Griffin jumped over the head of a teammate coming out of the sunroof of a Kia, and the commercialization of it kind of took off there.
That's not cool. Who was Baby Jordan, who had the big slam dunk win?
Harold Baby Jordan Minor.
That was it. Yeah, that was it.
For a 48-inch vertical, let's say.
Yes.
But it's the one thing I'll never forget about the 3-point shooting contest, and it's lore. It's NBA lore. It was maybe Larry Bird's first 3-point shooting contest. It was in the early stages of his career, and he was late. It's like the car
late to get there?
Yeah, they almost thought they had to scratch him, that he wasn't going to be in it. He rolls in late, and it wasn't by design. It's like the contest is in 15 minutes. And he rolls in, and everybody's like, oh, you're in it? And he goes, well, yeah, I'm in it. And you're all running for second. And went out, and you're all battling for second. And then he went out and basically hit every shot with not even warming up and beat everybody.
Did it in blue jeans and a dress shirt, probably.
Yep, with a big old belt buckle.
It used to be more meaningful back in ye olden days. And the slam, remember J.R. Ryder?
Yep.
Winning the slam. That was an epic dunk. I think it had more meaning back then. I hate to go like old man on everybody, but it seemed like it was better.
Am I waiting for good times, or is that dead too?
I was going to do a wrap if that's all right.
Oh, for sure. Charge, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Will not be your next week. Whiskey weekend coming up. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Have fun, my brother. And here comes Nordo with the wrap on the jump.
And thanks to Casey's, by the way, whether it's Casey's Rewards and you get the free Monday coffee, dig that, great way to start the week, but food, fuel, all kinds of deals with Casey's Rewards, and then get one of those large one-topping pizzas, thin or original crust. The pizza's elite, and you get the second one half off with Casey's. Go to Casey's today. Podcast today's Feast If You Can. 9 segments of energy. We're out of breath like we ran marathon segment on the Vikings. What's the plan? Charge fantasized about Sean Payton in a conversion van. See, to understand, you'd have to listen. Which of Kirk, JJ, or Daniil will we be missing? Birk, Pitt, and Hersch, fair amount of reminiscing. A few snakes on the text line, they're always hissing. And early on, we got to talk to Brock Faber. Blue liner using his hockey stick like a saber. Hope you shoveled his driveway. A good neighbor. This ain't Florida, like Lion Safety teased Tabor. And the bumpers now instrumental ditties. Sports leader musically dry in the Twin Cities. Mispronounced a word, and now it's gone to the committee. It's the FCC, though. I hope they take pity. Puppy.
Podcast today's poll or listen back to previous shows